Hey everybody, so I have a crazy case conclusion for you. Ignore my vacuum, it's vacuuming my floors. But a crazy case conclusion for you guys. At the end, we were able to confirm a birth father based on a photograph that the birth father's family had. It was crazy. So welcome back to Client Stories with Amy. First off, I hope all of you all have been able to stay safe if you were affected by any of the storms over the past several days over the weekend. It's been crazy. It's been a crazy Memorial Day weekend with Mother Nature. A lot of us at DNA Angels have been affected in some way, shape, or form. So I hope everybody has stayed safe and your property has stayed safe. But goodness, it was crazy. But anyways, back to our photograph. So our client came to us and she was born in 1960 in Ohio, and she was basically raised by her extended family. Her mom suffered from mental illness and she was in and out of institutions throughout her whole childhood. And so her aunts and uncles and her grandmother took her in so that the state didn't step in. So she had a rough childhood, and it was like walking on eggshells is the way that she put it. She never knew how her mom was going to be that day. She loved her mom fiercely, tried to take care of her mom as best she could, but she said it was like walking on eggshells, which is why she was never able to have a conversation about her biological father with her. She had a few conversations with her aunts and uncles about who could possibly be her biological father, and they just had no idea either. They didn't remember her mom dating anybody or having any type of relationship with somebody. So she was pretty much left with DNA to help her figure out her paternal line. So we get her DNA results, and we're looking at everything, getting everything sorted. The grandmother line was crystal clear. Had no issues with the DNA on that line. It was textbook, perfect, no question. The grandfather line, however, was a little bit more tricky. This line was from Germany, and there was a lot of lower matches, and trying to get things mapped together was not an easy task. I was only able to map 2 matches, and they were very distant. So it was a weak confirmation, but I considered it a confirmation nonetheless because of that grandmother line was so strong. I could prove a marriage to this gentleman, and we had those 2 weak, lower DNA matches. So I went with this line and said, I believe this is your line, but a little caveat to this, the DNA on that second line is a little shaky, but grandmother's line's perfectly strong. I think she's your link. I think she's your grandmother, and one of her sons is going to be your biological father. They had 2 sons, and I gave her information on both of those because I couldn't confirm who it could be over the other. They're both from the same area. Nobody ever traveled. There was just no DNA matches to say, hey, this one has to be the biological father versus this one. It was literally 50-50. Both men have passed away, and they had living children, so I gave her some contact information for all of the children. So Facebook pages, if I could find them, their phone numbers, their email addresses, their actual physical addresses, whatever I could find to give her to reach out, because at this point, the only way we're going to know who the biological father is if one of those siblings test. Then we'll know. Either it's going to come up as a half-sibling match, or it's going to come up as a first cousin match. We'll know. She thanks me for the information, and usually 99% of the time, I don't ever hear back from anybody after that, but I heard back from her about a week later. It's like, it's a little soon for a DNA test unless I did a LabCorp type one, but let's figure out what's going on. And she says, you're not going to believe this. I was like, what is it? Like, give me the tea. I want to know. She sends me a photograph, and I'm looking at this. I was like, is that your mom? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, is that one of those brothers? And she's like, yep. So when she contacted the children, she said who she was, who her mom's name, where they were from, all of these things, and what they had suspected that either your dad's an uncle or is my biological father. They heard the mom's name and light bulbs went off. When they were going through their dad's pictures and things like that, when he had passed away for the funeral home, they landed across a picture of him and a girl they didn't know. On the back, it was written his name and our client's mama's name. So that was pretty much confirmation enough for us in our books. We were like, they knew each other. You can place them together with a photograph. This has to be your dad. The siblings did a DNA test, and about 2 days later, it came back half siblings. We were right. It was him. So how cool is that? But I'll see you guys later.